also want to acknowledge that this land on which the University of Toronto and Boise operates for thousands of years, it's been the traditional land of the Huron-Wendat, the Seneca and the Mississaugas of the Credit. And today this meeting place is still the home to many Indigenous peoples and from across Turtle Island. And we are grateful to have the opportunity to work and live on this land. So I don't think I've forgotten anything. And without further ado, the floor is yours, Professor Ortega.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your invitation. Thank you, Enrica, for the invitation as well.
Yes, because this is a joint event,
Yes.
CIDE and CERLL. I'm online and Manon is in person. Thank you for accepting, Yacide.
Oh, thank you, all of you, for the invitation, both Enrica and Carly, for this opportunity for me to share some of the work that I've been doing in Belfast for the past few months over there. So without any further ado, I'm going to introduce you to this project that I've been working on. As Carly said, it's entitled today, Soundscapes of the Diverse City, Understanding Languages, Cultures as Dynamic and Synergy Complex Systems. This research project has been funded by Queen's University Belfast and funded by Faculty of Arts, Humanities and Social Sciences and Faculty of Research Initiatives Fund. So next slide. So
I was just trying to send a message to Enrica. Thank you so much for pointing out, reminding us that this is a CIDE CERLL Research Circle co-sponsored seminar.
Yeah, no, don't worry. Antoinette also asks if you can turn on your video on the screen, Yacide, so we can see your face, because we see the room now.
Yes. How about now? Good.
Let me see.
Can you see the room?
Yeah, we can see you as one of the participants.
And you should be able to see.
Yeah,
see in the room, but you can turn on your camera.
No, but I think
so. Yeah, now we see you both. We see the room and we see Yacide. Yeah.
Perfect.
So I guess I will be telling Carly to help me with the slides, right? That's how it's going to be.
Yeah.
Okay, so in this slide, you'll see depiction of the city as created by the artificial intelligence. So what I'm going to be doing to start our session today is to play a couple of minutes of some of the recordings that I have done. So I created a special 2-minute soundscape, so you will experience for 2 minutes what it means to be recording in the city. And for the folks here, you will be able to hear on both sides, the left and the right, different versions of those sounds. For those who are online, you can also hear, but if you're wearing headphones, probably you will have a better taste of what it means. So I'm gonna play this couple of minutes only. So. All right, so that's a little bit of a taste of what it means to be walking in the city with one of these handheld devices, it's a sound recorder. And then I'm walking through the streets of Belfast in this case, and other cities in the world that I have been going through. And then that's what it means to be hearing some of the languages, but also some of the experiences of the culture as well. And I wanted you first to take a little taste of that experience. Next slide. So in this slide, what we have is the agenda for today. And I will be telling you a little bit about the context and background of this project, a little bit of the literature review, some of the theoretical and conceptual concepts that I will be, that frames this work, the research methodology, the data collection, and I also will be sharing some of the data analysis, the emerging themes, and some implications for research and language teaching as well. And then we're going to finish with a conclusion. Next. So a lot of people ask me, well, Yasid, how did you come up with such idea? So I was just thinking that that in advance, like, why did I come up with this idea? So I decided to share this idea with you. Next slide. So I wanted you to pay attention to this cassette tape recorder that you see on the screen. And it belongs to my mother, and she got it in the mid-'80s, I guess, long time ago, to listen to radio, to listen to music, to record tapes, etc., etc. So somehow I learned how to record tapes. So back when I was a young boy, I used to record music from the radio on this device. And then down the road, when I was growing up, 8, 10 years old, I used this recorder, get some tapes and go out in the streets and record sounds from the rivers, from the streams, sounds of rock, sounds of people. And I would even interview people in the streets, like friends or relatives or people in the market, etc., about asking random questions about that. And I did this for a number of years, 2 or 3 or 4 years, until I got in contact with somebody in the community who had a community radio. And she asked me to be the reporter for the community. So I grabbed the tape recorder and I started recording interviews, recording more sounds. And on Sunday at noon, I would take the cassette tape to this radio, community radio, and they would broadcast everything that I would record at that time. Next slide. So moving forward, I got the chance to live in the United States for a while. And I continued with this idea of recording the sounds of the city. And then those of you who are online, you don't see it, but I have a collection of cassette tapes that I recorded in Chicago and different places in the United States as well. I would use this tape recorder as well to record all of that. And when finally technology came, so obviously I got a little tape recorder, or I guess electronic recorder, and I started putting all of the sounds of these cities in my website. That is just Ortega Field Recordings, and you can see it there on Bandcamp. You can go at any time and go back until like 2010, 2011, and all of the recordings of all the cities that I visited are there for your pleasure if you want to. Next slide. So then you might want to ask, how can I translate this passion into a research project? So I am in Belfast, in Northern Ireland, now as an assistant professor. And I wanted to think that doing the same thing that I'm doing since I was young, and then I started to think, how can I translate this lifetime passion to an actual research project that resonated with what I like the most, and how can I connect with that passion with education, with languages, and with research as well. And it got me the idea. So there has to be a way to connect all this passion a personal passion to my passion, academic passion, and also my research. Next slide. So, as you know, I've been traveling around the world recording, but it was not until last year when I took some vacation to Oslo in Norway, and on the way I stopped a few days in London. So this was the best opportunity to try this new idea as a research pilot and be more intentional, evaluating what is possible, what's feasible, and what is not. And I started to map my walks. And as you can see on the left of the presentation here, there is a map of London. There you go. So the map of London over here. And I started, like I said, being more intentional about this, paying more attention to the languages that I hear and how cultures are expressed, how even my feelings are connected with emotions as well as I walk the street. So in the first map, you will see my walk from the London Bridge all the way up.
We lost your sound, Yesi. Something happened. You're muted. No, we can't hear anything.
You just need to unmute yourself manually, Yesid.
I don't think it's a problem of muting there because they have muted his computer to have the
Hello,
sound.
everybody. Sorry.
There you are back. There you go.
Difficulty here.
Right.
Can Enrique, can you see the slide, the PowerPoint over there?
Yes, and now I can hear you and I can see the
Can
PowerPoint.
anybody let us know if you see the PowerPoint?
Yes, yes, we can.
Somebody saying that notified the Calimani was made the host just now.
I don't really know what happened. My screen.
Now we have lost the sharing.
Yeah. I think it is connected here on the screen.
Yeah.
But it looks like.
No, we only see you now, Yesid. We don't see the PowerPoint anymore. We've lost the sharing of the screen. Yeah, we need for Carly to share the PowerPoint. Yes, it's what was done before. I don't know why they disappeared from the group.
I wonder if we could just join, like you can join, and I could join. We can see.
Everybody seems to be there. It's just the screen that is not working. Right?
Here in this room, can't
Yeah.
see.
Oh, that's okay. Sorry, this hybridity is true. Like I can see everybody on the other side, but people here cannot see. That's a good point. What if I connect?
But it's okay if they don't see us for the moment. The important is that they hear and see you.
I don't
No, they can't see the slides in the room on the screen in the classroom in 7105. That's the problem. We can't see them either at this point.
But they can see on their laptop if they connect and mute everything.
Hi, everyone. Carly here. The screen, the 10 screen, we have a standalone screen just cut out and it won't let us rejoin the meeting. So what we're going to do is ask people here on site to join and so they'll be able to see the slides and we'll just keep going.
Yeah,
Sorry for the inconvenience.
no problem. They
Yeah,
only
just
have
remember everybody to mute.
to mute, otherwise there's going to be a terrible echo.
Did that leave the link? Got it? Okay. I'm told.
Okay. Yeah.
we make it more cozier, I guess.
It's great. We can see the screen again and we can see you, Yesid.
If you can, because we're running just one time. And I have to keep it fine. You can check. Find a way
Yeah, well, I just don't tell you the story behind everything.
Okay.
So, okay, so we are on the pilot of the London pilot, right?
we're on London.
So let's move on to the Oslo one, which is not that different from London. I just wanted to let you know that these two cities, I use them as sort of piloting my ideas of what I wanted to do, pacing myself, listening, stopping, taking some photos, taking notes about what people do and people want to do, paying attention to the shops, to the advertisements, etc., sort of like a linguistic landscape, but this time with a sound. So we're moving to the next slide, number 10. But this is not new, something has done before. This is not something that I have proposed and is new or novel. A lot of people have already been working on this before. Next slide that says state of the art. So the first thing that I remember was the work by former OIC professor Stephanie Springer. She was working on something related to walking methodologies, engaging with a wide range of walking methods and forms, including long walks and hiking trails, geological walks, sensory work, sonic art works, etc. And then, as I have always been interested in sound, there has been tons of research related to sound, music, field recordings, etc. So the idea of soundscaping came with the work with Carlyle, Long, and Collins, and Samuels, etc. They have been working so many years in sound recording, recording the environment, recording the field, recording cities, parks, recording natural environment, rivers, streams, ocean, waves, animals in the forest, etc., etc., etc. So also, some people have already mapped cultures in order to foster awareness about different types of phenomena, culture, beings, society in general, and then Cohen, DeLuca, and Matson, Roberts, and Speed have already talked about some of these things, mapping music in different spaces. In Liverpool, for example, mapping how society lives on the ground, mapping streets, performance, and mapping history, etc., etc. Next slide. So then we come up with a question, how are you framing all of these? So the next step for me was to make sure that I would use concepts or theories that would delineate the work I wanted to do to keep the consistency of the work. Next slide. Based on the work that I have done in bilingual, multilingual education, and also inspired by the work of Enrique Picardo, who's here today, as well as my passion for technology and complex systems, and also the work of Colombian Arturo Escobar, who is a sociologist and anthropologist, I was able to envision a framework that would oversee this research. Next slide. So complexity theory. There are so many things that can be said about complexity theory, and I'm not going to go into the details because there is so much about written in the hard sciences, mathematics, and engineering and technology, etc. But I want to tell you the basics that I am using, and complexity theory is the field of a study that seeks to understand the inherent uncertainty and non-linearity complexity of systems and how they evolve over time. So it is concerned with understanding the behavior of complex systems and how they can be modeled and analyzed to gain insight into their behavior. So complexity theory draws on ideas of a complex adaptive systems in which the word complex implies diversity through a great number and a wide variety of interdependent yet autonomous parts. The word adaptive refers to the system's ability to alter, change, and learn from past experiences. And the system portion refers to a set of connected interdependent parts, a network, for example, while there are a great number of complex adaptive systems existing at different scales. Complexity theory reveals that there are common interrelated principles which can be observed across different systems. Next slide. Now, speaking about plurilingualism or pluriculturalism, pluriculturalism as a theory and educational approach looks at people's languages repertoires and how they use them in any given moment to communicate. And this is something that we already discussed with Enrica a few years back in 2018 when we had a paper out based on a conversation that we had, in which the use of these languages at any given time is aimed toward valuing even the most partial knowledge of any language. Therefore, plurilingualism is a unique overarching notion implying a subtle but profound shift in perspective, both horizontally toward the use of multiple languages and vertically toward valuing even the most partial knowledge of a language, and another para and extra linguistic resources as well as tools for facilitating communication. So the notion of plurilingualism is informed by several interrelated key constructs, particularly plurilingual and pluricultural and plurintercultural competence agency, which the user or the learner is seen as a social agent. And between all of these, we have the idea of mediation. So this competence mainly refers to the ability to use languages for the purposes of communication and to take part in intercultural interaction where a person is viewed as a social agent, has proficiency or various degrees of proficiency in several languages and experience of several cultures as well. Next slide. Now, Arturo Escobar long ago argued that life in general at a political level is predicated on multiplicity of universes and thus a plurality of realities or a plurality of worlds. Arturo Escobar conceives the idea of imagining the possibility that another life, another universe is possible. The concept of pluriverse is that of a world in which many realities exist as opposed to the current capitalist, industrialized, extractivist, globalist, neoliberal reality that has convinced us that any alternative is narrow or even impossible and built on its own hegemonic language. He helped us start to imagine a pluriversal world by suggesting the term radical relationality, referring to the deepness, interconnectedness that all forms of life, humans, non-humans, and beyond humans have in a non-dualistic ecosystem in which we as educators and researchers work hard so we can all live well with each other into what is known as el buen vivir. Next slide. So here you can see another depiction of what I have created, or the artificial intelligence have created, these synergic and encompassing and concentric circles that depicts the framework that I have built for this project as a complex pluriversal vision of languages and culture. Next. So a question for us is, how are you doing all of this? What are the methodologies and resources and tools that are you using in this research project? Next. First of all, as I was saying before, based on what I learned from the literature review and inspired by their work, I created what is called soundscaping walking methodologies, SWM, to really capture what I had experienced in the past from different multimedia angles. So for example, we have Serping and Springer and Truman with the walking, listening, sensing, and feeling emotions while you do the work, but also sound recording, but also photo capturing and video recording, but also note taking and reflecting on those walks, reflecting on those notes, etc. Next slide. So here you see a couple of photographs of me using the sound recording, the headphones, and how I go around recording my walk. I also carry with me the notebook for notes and brochures that summarizes my research to hand out to those who are curious and want to know a little bit. Next slide. So I also use mobile phones as a device to capture and document photos and videos. So you can see here a photo of the city centers that it suggests the relationship between the spaces and the people. And I also capture a video where I observe international cuisine, Indian, English, Middle Eastern, Mediterranean, Italian, Southeast Asian, Thai, among others, just at the corner of one of the streets in Belfast. Next slide. Another one of the tools that I use to collect the data was the field notes. So as you can see in the photographs, there are some notes, jotting ideas, pondering theorizations, mapping, etc., description of photos. So everything would go into one of these field notes. Next. Now, when it comes to the data analysis, I use different types of analysis. One of those was the photo and media analysis. And in photo or media analysis, I pick and choose the sections where I would see any cultural or linguistic descriptions. Here, there is a stall where they sell Turkish lamps and sweets. So I coded for Turkish language and culture and put this in my code book or worksheet on Excel. Next slide. Another analysis I did was the map analysis, and in another notebook, I jotted my walkings, making annotations of the circuits that I did, and I marked the languages, the music, the cultures that I observed as well. You can see there that I have two different colors for the two different types of walks that I did, and I also analyzed that for how long should I take, all the poses that I made, and all the different cultures that I encountered through these different types of walk. Next slide. And then I guess similar to the previous one, I did one on my tablet by downloading a map and then retracing my walk and color in two sections. So I will listen to the sound walk again and make annotations on the tablet, refer to the languages that I hear, the culture that I experienced during the walk, and I noted it again on the spreadsheet. Next slide. The next slide here is similar to the other one, but I retrace my steps here and I notice the pattern of an infinitive sign. So imagining that I walk several times, different moments during different types of the week as well, like on a weekend and on the weekday as well. Some days were more busier than the others, etc., etc. But I will map this out and again taking notes on the cultures and languages that I experience. Next slide. And finally, I did something that most of us are used to, the themes and coding analysis. So as you can see in the picture, it's me using the double screens here to use the mapping and then coding the ideas of the cultures and languages. I did different tables of sound walk 1, sound walk 2, sound walk 3, and the different languages that were emerging, and then trying to understand the themes that were coming out in terms of languages and culture, but also in terms of emerging themes. Next. So the question after doing all of this is, what have you found so far? So I finished collecting this first phase of the data on December 18, and of course I have been already thinking about emerging findings that I'm still working on. So let's see what I have found so far. Next slide. Data recorded evidence the city as a sentient being, a living organism that has the ability to experience and perceive consciousness, including the capacity to feel, perceive, and respond to stimuli. The city in this state is what I have called the diverse city, or diversity as you want, a play on words, diversity and city. So this diversity is a space and a place that acknowledges, welcomes, and celebrates all who inhabit the city. It creates and recreates an intelligent system that is advanced enough to exhibit behaviors and responses that are similar to those of conscious beings. So the concept of diversity as a sentient being is used as a performative act of the living creatures that are capable of experiencing and perceiving their surroundings from those that don't have this ability, such as plants or perhaps inanimate objects. So in my field notes, I wrote, diversity is a sentient being where cultures and languages collide. It is alive, and I sense this as a new home for some and a long dwelling for others. Regardless, we all belong and share the enduring space within its interconnectedness. So this figure represents the sentiment of the diverse city as portrayed by artificial intelligence technology. Next. And this is another theme related to the city as pulsating or palpitating, vibrating, in which you can feel the rhythm, the music, the voices, and the steps, the movements, and the languages, and the different variations of languages, dialects, etc. And although I don't understand all the languages, I sense the city, I respect the city, and I understand without knowing the words. So drawing on the verb, the city carries its own rhythms based on its public and private subjectivities and how they converge. at their own past, present, and future, in which we call in Spanish cotidianidad, where the lines of languages and cultures are blurred. Next. The diversity is not static, but in constant movement, where the bodies collide and beings carry their hopes, their dreams, their fears, and also their lives are packed in their suitcase, their baby strollers, their shopping carts. The picture here that I hope it's moving on your end represents the movement of being while interacting with others while within the realms of the city. So in a sense, this diversity is like a system that can be described as a set of entities that are related to one another and influence one another, and a state of the system is set to of properties of its components at a particular time and moment. Next. Okay, so all of this looks beautiful. So what's the point? So what? So many people ask this question, what? We're almost at the end of the presentation, so you may want to ask, what is the point of all of this? Is there a point with this? And I said, yes, why not? So let's see. Next. So we have some pedagogical implications here. So when we understand the city as a sentient being, a space where people live, cohabit and exchange relationships, this sentiment needs to be translated into education in different ways. For example, Enrique Picardo already talked about the need of adopting a more holistic and integrated view of language teaching that is discussed and theorized, drawing on broad understanding of the relationship between social interaction and language development. Also, we as educators need to promote and create curriculum, syllabus, modules, lessons, projects, etc., that include multilingual approaches to teaching. And I know Enrique Picardo has done this. Antoinette, who's here in this presentation as well, has been doing this already for a long time. And last but not least, one tiny example of a classroom practice is how we can encourage students to record audios or videos of places they live, they share by using home language stories and interviewing parents or grandparents. Next. So I was hoping to show you the map the interactive map that I created, but I will not do it because of the interest of time. So no, it's fine. If it's something, I'll show it at the end in the Q&A. But for now, but I can explain what I did with all of the recordings, photos, and videos. I put them on a map, and you can type that. It's on the website. The end of the day, it's on the website. You can see the map there. But this is the more direct way to get to the map, and I'll show it in the end, so you know. But what I'm trying to say is, like, students, teachers, anybody can create this type of map in which they can gather the funds, and then take photos or videos of their places where they live, and they can just generate this awareness in their city that there are many languages living and cohabiting in the city. So I created this map to create that awareness, to understand and that the city is in fact culturally and linguistically diverse. And this continue mapping, I continue mapping with these places in different cities as well. So this is just the beginning. Like I said, I've been working on this for the past 3 or 4 months. So it's like, this is just the beginning. So this is just the beginning of this type of mapping. The map, it also will change as well. So the next one. So the next one, I'm not gonna say, the AI person is gonna say, but I'm not sure you're able to click on there on the video.
We can't hear now.
You'll have to unmute yourself,
Carly.
Carly. And Yesid, you'll have to mute yourself.
Have to mute.
Yeah,
You-
mute yourself. Like, just turn off your mic. Like, or you mute yourself in the Zoom room. Okay.
This research experience brought ideas to continue pushing the boundaries on the way we do research and education. I encourage PhD students and researchers to explore different forms of research, using different data collection method by using arts, poetry, narratives, chats and meals, photo analysis, multilingual meta video recall, and of course AI technology in different languages.
Yeah, as the AI,
Yeah.
Okay, now switch again.
Okay, now I have unmuted myself, just to let you know, to rephrase what the AI technology is trying to say. And all of this technology, anyways. That's how it works. Like that's the sentiment of the complex theory. Actually, it is like that. It's not either or. It's like it's always chaotic, and that's where this is a good example of chaos theory and the complex systems as well. Nothing is set on stone. It's just how we manage these situations, right? So the AI technology says there are many things to do in research, and I invite you, those who are here in the presentation, to explore the different pluriverses of research possibilities that are out there, that is not only interviews and focus groups, for example, that we are used to, but there are in different ways of doing the same thing. So next slide is what can we learn from all of these? So obviously it is a question that, as I'm approaching again towards the end of the presentation, my question to me is like, what I have learned so far from these, and what can we do from these as well? So the next, it's one of the different conclusions that I have, at least till now. So one of the key things is that the soundscapes of the city helps in recognizing the pluriversality of beings while promoting, highlighting, amplifying, and celebrating cultural and linguistic diversities, especially for marginalized communities, by tapping into their funds of knowledges. So I learned that immigrants, refugees, asylum seekers, and all of us, for that matter, are walking libraries full of knowledges and experiences that we can all share. Next slide. I also learned that the diversity is a place where languages and cultures dance as dynamic systems that changes over time through complex interactions among all beings, human, non-humans, beyond humans, the universe, the cosmos, even our spiritualities and our hopes, expectations, fears, emotions, identities in relation to the spaces that we all inhabit, share, and treasure. And the next slide is just one photo that I have somewhere on social media that you can take with you, in which I say the cities are these geographical spaces in which the languages and cities converge synergically with no boundaries. Our bodies are interspersed at the rhythm of their hearts, reminiscing their relationship with their families, friends, and their entire communities. And I have a story to tell you about that, but not now, at some point. Next slide. Some key references. Next slide. It's a thank you for coming to this short presentation. And then the slide shows a photo that I took in one of the falafel restaurants that I go in Belfast very often. And they had this that was made by one of their customers, a child who decided to thank them for all the work that they do, and especially for Palestinian people. So you can see there are 3 languages there. Thank you, everybody. Merci beaucoup. Thank you, shukran as well. And this is a way to learn from languages and to thank everybody. So I thought this was a very tiny way to thank everybody. Next slide. If you have any questions or comments, please send me an email, follow me on Twitter, or go to the website, thesoundscapesofthecity.uk, where you can get more detailed information about what I have presented. And you can also see the map that I was telling you about earlier. Next slide is just in the spirit of academic advancement and sharing knowledges in different ways. That is not only a publication on paper. You can also cite the presentation today, and this is just a suggested citation. And the last slide is just the Q&A.
Thank you very much.